Welcome to Sportsnite. I'm Jerry Goosenberg, here with NFL analysts Ross Kaufman and Hunter Davidson. We're going to bring you the hottest predictions for the NFL trade deadline, which is fast approaching. Before we dive in, what have you guys thought of the season so far?
You know, there's death, there's taxes, and there's the Patriots succeeding. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone here. Tom Brady's dominating. You know what? How old is he again? Oh, wait, I do know. He's 42 because every single ESPN broadcast has to mention what his age is. So it's nailed into our brains that he's 42 years old and he's doing these miraculous things. So this season has not come as a surprise to me at all.
You know, as a Lions fan, football season is really just the season of masochism, and it's been more of the same this year. The officiating hasn't gone our way. The play calling hasn't gone our way. It's another season of pain for the Lions.
Well, for both of you guys, I want to say the Lions, they're not out of it yet. I know Green Bay is doing very well, but it's really never. They have 2 wins, they have a tie, and they honestly don't look that bad. And for the Patriots, kind of the other way around. They haven't really had that hard of a schedule so far. You know, the combined record's like 12-40 or something of who they've played.
I think the Lions are a very talented team. I just think they've had very unfortunate circumstances. They had that tough loss in the last minute to Kansas City. They had that overtime tie to the Arizona Cardinals where they should have won that game. And if you really think about it, the Lions, you know, if everything went right in their direction, they could be undefeated.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out here. But now let's go to the NFL trade predictions with the deadline coming up here on the 29th. Ross, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think is going to get traded?
Well, Jerry, I think there's a decent chance that A.J. Green of the Cincinnati Bengals gets dealt at the trade deadline. He's been an absolute beast for the Bengals and the face of the franchise for the past 8 years. But we all know that it's time for the two sides to part ways. All good things must come to an end eventually. And yes, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor previously stated that they're not going to trade Green at the deadline. I still think it would be logical of a choice to do so. You can tell that AJ doesn't want to be there anymore. Based on his interviews, you can read his body language. You can tell how he's approaching his return from his ankle injury. He doesn't seem very eager to get back on the field for the winless Bengals. And so, with that being said, the 0-7 Bengals are obviously going nowhere anytime soon. And I'm sure Green would like to play for a contender at this point of his career. The 31-year-old becomes a free agent at the end of the season, and I just don't see the reasoning for Cincinnati to give him such a large contract extension when they clearly need to rebuild the organization. So why not trade him away now and receive assets for the future?
All right, that totally makes sense, you know, especially considering he's 31 years old. They're not going anywhere. They can get some value for him because he should be coming back any week now. And they do have, they have Boyd, who's a young star. They have John Ross, who's on the IR, but he's still a young star, and he'll probably be good next year. So it's looking good.
Unfortunately, Jerry, they also have Andy Dalton. I don't know if you've watched any Bengals games this year. I unfortunately have watched a few. Joe Mixon's on my fantasy team.
Oof.
Last week he had 10 rushes for 2 yards total.
He did score a touchdown.
He did score a touchdown, but the point is this Bengals team, top to bottom, is broken. They need to rebuild. This is a buyer's and a seller's market. I think the Cincinnati Bengals should be looking to sell everything. I think A.J. Green's on the market, but I want to talk about defensive end Carlos Dunlap. John Gruden's Oakland Raiders, they haven't been a superstar team this year, no breakout team, but they've stated that they're in the buyer's market before the trade deadline. They would love to replace a pass rusher like Khalil Mack, who they lost a couple seasons ago. I think Dunlap is a good fit in that system with Gruden. I would look for the Raiders to try to make a move for Dunlap or a similar type of pass rusher. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, especially, you know, they lost the guy who came over from Cincinnati last year, Vontaze Burfict, for the season after that, you know, disgusting hit that he had there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I definitely, Dunlap, what is he, 30 years old, I think?
He's young.
He's got some years left. And with the Raiders, who honestly, the Chiefs, you know, with Mahomes going out, Raiders 3-3,
it is a wide open conference there now. And I would look for Gruden. You know, he's an aggressive guy. He always is. I would look for Gruden to get Dunlap or a real playmaker on defense.
Ross, you're another player you think may get dealt before the deadline?
Okay, so I can also see the Los Angeles Chargers trading away Melvin Gordon. Ever since returning from his contract holdout, Gordon has been absolutely abysmal. Austin Eckler severely outplayed him and has proved within his own right to be a top-tier running back. The Chargers have been one of the NFL's biggest disappointments this season, with a record of 2-5. Melvin Gordon's going to want a large, lucrative contract after the season ends, and with it practically being a given that he'll no longer be wearing a Bolts uniform after the season, it only makes sense for LA to trade him and get something rather than nothing. And so I think the Detroit Lions would be absolutely nuts to not at least give Los Angeles a call. And due to starting running back Kerryon Johnson just recently being placed on the season-ending injured reserve list, the Lions are in desperate need of a starting running back, and if they still want to compete this season, I think Melvin Gordon certainly fits the bill to be their new starter, and maybe even for the later future as well.
Yeah, the Lions just trading away Quandre Diggs to the Seattle Seahawks for that 5th-round pick, a move that had a lot of fans and even players on the team confused. The only thing that I could be thinking in my head of why the front office would do that is if they're gearing up for a Melvin Gordon trade or just trying to free up some sort of cap space to sign a big name. Otherwise, what are they doing?
I think if they could trade maybe a 5th, 6th, or a 7th rounder for Melvin Gordon services, I think the Lions should take a chance on him. They don't have too much to lose. I don't think he's worth too much at this point of time, and it can only help the Lions organization at this point.
I agree with that. I do think that there still is a chance that Melvin could sign with the Chargers next year. Maybe they see them deal Eckler or something, or maybe if they feel confident, or maybe they're 2-5, but they're the Chargers. They can go on a win streak. You never really know.
But there's no way they're keeping both running backs.
No, they're not going to keep both.
No.
No, there's no chance. No chance to keep both running backs. Hunter, do you have another player that you want to keep an eye on?
I want to talk more about a team rather than a specific player. I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the most confusing team in the NFL to me right now. 2 seasons ago, Super Bowl champions. Last season, they looked competitive. They looked like a good team. And this season, from every game that I've watched, they have been totally unimpressive. I don't know what's going on in Philly, but I think they should be looking to buy before the trade deadline. I think Robbie Anderson, wide receiver of the New York Jets, a really good deep target, young guy, shouldn't come with a huge price tag. I think the Eagles could look to go and get another guy to help out Carson Wentz. We know Nelson Aguilar has been shaky, to say the least. I also think maybe Chris Harris Jr. from Denver. Philly's always looking up to beef up their defensive secondary. I think he would be a great fit. He doesn't look like he'll be in Denver next season, and I think it would be smart for Denver to get something out of him at the deadline.
Well, you mentioned Robbie Anderson. They do have Deshaun Jackson, who had an incredible week his first week, then he got hurt.
Yeah, what happened to him?
He's been out for a few weeks, but I definitely see, especially in the East, when that's literally anybody's division. There's 4 pretty abysmal teams over there.
Oh my goodness.
So
we didn't even talk about Washington. We didn't even talk about
I was going to say, if the New York Giants are still in it with only 2 wins, that's not the best division in the NFL right now.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting, especially with the Cowboys. They can't beat any good teams. The Eagles, you never know what's going on.
What's going on in the NFC?
I don't know. Well, to say the least, it should turn out to be an interesting next couple days leading up to the deadline. But unfortunately, that's all we have for you guys today on Sportsnite. Please comment below if you have any trade deadline predictions of your own. And also, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Wolves Sportsnite. And have a great sports night.